guys, welcome to today's video. Guys, in today's video, I'm gonna share with you 10 things that I would never do with my fragrances. I probably used to do it, but I ain't gonna do it no more, and you shouldn't either. So if you wanna know the 10 things that I would never, ever do with my fragrances, then just continue to watch. Guys, before we get started with the video, please make sure you like this video, thumbs it up so YouTube knows you love my content, leave me a comment down below so we can get to know each other, and make sure you're subscribed to my channel. Now guys, I love to get my community involved, so I did do a questionnaire on Instagram asking you guys, what would you not ever do with fragrances? And some of the answers were a little bit... Some of the answers were hilarious, and most of them, like, I totally agree. So we're going to get into the Instagram answers first, and then we're going to get into mine. So first things first, someone said never let visitors see them because you never know. Now sis, who you got coming up in your house? Who you got coming over there that you got to hide your fragrances because you never know if they're going to take them? That's a whole other topic. But that is what she said. She would never let visitors see her fragrances because you never know. So somebody else said they would never spray fragrances on dry skin, and I could not agree more. Make sure you're moisturized and hydrated, drinking your water, minding your business, putting on your oils and your grease and your body butters and your body creams, and then you apply your fragrance, because the fragrance has something to stick to and it'll project, it'll last on your skin, and you're going to live in your scent bubble and you're going to love it. So never spray fragrances on dry skin. Okay guys? So if y'all spraying fragrances on dry skin and y'all coming back to my video telling me, oh, you said such and such lasts long, were you moisturized? You know what I'm saying? Like, is your skin dry? Like, let's talk about it, because there's so many factors of why fragrances will not last on you and last on somebody else. Now, somebody else said they would never expose their fragrances to sunlight. You never want to put your fragrances in direct sunlight or even just strong direct light. If you have to keep it in a drawer, keep it in the box, keep it in a closet somewhere tucked away, because the sunlight can break your fragrances down quicker, and you're probably gonna have like a year, maybe a year and a half with your fragrances, as opposed to 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years, sometimes 20. I've heard people say they had fragrances in their boxes and like tucked away in a drawer or a bin, and they have the fragrance for like 20 years and it still smells the same. So definitely try to keep your fragrances out of direct sunlight. Somebody else said they would never leave their fragrances in the car, and I could not agree more. I know a lot of you guys want to put your fragrances in the car, so when you're coming out of the car, like, you know, you already have it there. When you're coming out the car, you can refresh yourself, but you're changing the scent profile of your fragrance, because that heat in the car, whether it's extreme heat in the summertime or extreme cold in the wintertime, it's just not a temperature controlled environment. So you don't want to keep your fragrances in the car. I know a lot of y'all thinking y'all doing something by doing that, but you're really harming the fragrance. It's not going to do anything on your skin. It's probably going to smell really bad, really sour, smell like water. Like, it's just not going to be good. So do not keep your fragrances in the car. You want to keep your fragrances in a temperature controlled environment. Now, I don't know if this was real or not, but somebody said they would never taste their fragrances. And sis, I'm hoping you would never taste the fragrances. I'm hoping none of us is going to taste the fragrance, unless you're spraying heavy and sometimes it gets in your mouth. That's a different story. But to taste the fragrance, like, let's say it's a yummy gourmand scent like Lyra. Like, it smells like cookies. So let me taste it, see if it smells like cookies. No, y'all, don't do that. It's not going to taste like cookies. You might die, okay? So somebody said they would never spray the air and walk in it. And y'all, that is so... Listen, I see people do that and I'm just like, why are you wasting the fragrance? Like, you're literally wasting the juice. If that's what you want to do, then sis or bro, like, go on ahead and do it. Whatever makes you happy. But for me, I'm not spraying in any air and walking into it. I'm spraying it directly on me. Like, what is the point of that? If you guys spray in the air and walk into it, please leave it in the comments down below and let me know why you do that. I would just prefer to spray it on me. Yeah, let's talk about it. I want to know why you spray in the air and walk into it as opposed to spraying directly on you. Somebody else said they would never spray on silk clothes. And I couldn't agree more, especially certain fragrances. You may have a fragrance like Montal or Mansara that has a lot of oil concentration in the fragrance, or an Extrait de Parfum that has lots of oil, and you're gonna spray on something silk or organza or something sheer. There's even some fragrances that have color. Like my Love Don't Be Shy, the original one from I don't know what year, but I got mine in 2019 in the black bottle. I can't spray that on white clothes because it has that salmony, pinky coral kind of color, and that's the color that's gonna come onto my clothes. I learned that the hard way. There's so many fragrances that have like a colorful juice, like Tiffany Rose Gold. This looks like rose gold in the container, but you can spray it on white. But there's some fragrances, guys, do not. If you see it with like a pink tinge or a red tinge, like maybe Rouge Smoking by BDK, don't spray that on your clothes. Tom Ford's Lost Cherry, although it's a cherry fragrance, it's clear, so you can spray that on your clothes. So yeah, guys, be careful of that because you will be ruining your garments. Somebody else said they would never sell their fragrances. So I personally wouldn't sell fragrances either, only because I have friends and family. So like if I was to sell them, it's like, why you ain't give it to me, sis? So that's what I do. I'd rather just give it to friends and family instead of making money off of it. But if you have a large collection and your friends and family have a lot of fragrances and they don't need any of yours, then by all means, go on ahead and sell it. But I'm thinking that she probably meant she wouldn't sell them because maybe she's not picking it up right now, but then in 6 months or a year, she may want to pick it up. Because I know some people get rid of fragrances and declutter fragrances because they're not wearing them or they haven't reached for them. So that's like a good reason to declutter. But sometimes your tastes change and it may change back. So you don't want to have to sell a fragrance and then you start missing that fragrance and then you buy it back. Because I know a lot of y'all be doing that too. Selling fragrances and then buying them back. So for me, I'm gonna just give it to friends and family, and I'm not giving myself only 6 months. People say, oh, if you're not pulling for something in six months or a year, then you're not gonna wear it. You just never know what mood you're in. You may be in a whole floral mood for a whole season, and then that may change, and you might be feeling gourmand, and then that may change. So just because you're in your gourmand season, it doesn't mean you're no longer gonna wear your floral fragrances. You may not be feeling for them right now, but at some point you may. So you don't want to have to buy it back, sis. That's all I'm saying. All right, y'all. So the 10 things that I would never do with my fragrances, and I do have one honorable mention, and the honorable mention is not carrying a decant, because I'm always going to be carrying a decant, y'all. This is Tiffany Rose Gold. I love this fragrance. It's like a fruity rose fragrance. It smells so good, y'all. It's very like classy and feminine and regal. It doesn't smell playful. It smells grown and sexy. It smells so good. So for me, if I'm leaving the house in Tiffany Rose Gold, I spray in the morning, and then I'm gonna throw this in my bag, and maybe like 2-3 hours down the line, it depends on how I feel, I'm going to refresh my scent. Not because I have to, but because I want to. It's just something that I love to do. When I wash my hands, I reapply my lotion. I reapply my lipstick. So I don't have a problem reapplying my fragrances as well. So that's one thing I would never do. Not carry a decant. Okay, so another thing that I would never do with my fragrances is spray and rub my wrist. Now, I'm only doing this for demonstration purposes, but in real life, I'm not doing this. So I would never spray my wrist and then rub it. I see people do it all the time and I cringe. Y'all, I cringe. It is so cringe for me. And the crazy thing is, I did it too. I feel like everybody that's new to fragrances have done that, unless you're like new to fragrances but you're watching a whole bunch of YouTube videos and fragrance content on TikTok and Instagram, and you're watching people say don't spray and rub your wrist. But for me, there was nothing like of this when I was coming up and wearing fragrances. So I was sitting there rubbing my fragrances along with everybody else, child. But then once I learned and I knew better, I did better. So no more spraying and rubbing, because you're breaking the fragrances down. Now, I feel like that's like an old school way of applying fragrances, because fragrances used to be oils. So you can rub oils, but with this perfume concentration, with alcohol and all this, you're just breaking down the notes. And for me, I just want to have my fragrance smell how it's supposed to smell. I don't want to alter the scent and rub it. And what's the point of rubbing it? Like, what is that doing? If you're someone who still sprays and rubs, please let us know in the comment section down below why you do that. And I'm not talking about with oils, because you can do that with oils. I'm talking about with a regular like EDP or even an extrait de parfum. So something else I would never do with my fragrances is keep the cap off. Now, I know a lot of y'all be buying them bond fragrances and certain fragrances at discounted prices and they don't come with caps. Y'all, do something. Put foil paper on top of it or something, because when too much air gets into the fragrance, it's going to start to oxidize. The fragrance is going to smell different. It's going to lose its oomph. It's going to lose its power. So you want to keep the cap on it to keep as much air out of the fragrance as possible. So I would never ever keep the cap off. The only time the cap is off of my fragrances is when I'm spraying down and then she going right back on there, okay? Something else I would never do with my fragrances is store it in the bathroom. And a lot of you guys said that as well. The steam, it's all about breaking down the fragrances. This is chemicals, y'all. Like, the steam can break it down. The sun can break it down. So you don't want anything to ruin your prized possession, because fragrances are some people's prized possessions. They cost a lot of money. They are an investment. You don't want to break them down. So you don't want to do anything that's going to alter it too much. You don't want to shake your fragrance. You don't want to keep it in the sunlight, and you don't want to keep it in the bathroom with steam. Unless you have a really big bathroom and, you know, the steam isn't getting to the fragrance. But if you have a small bathroom, please don't keep the fragrance in the bathroom. Another thing that I won't do with fragrances is fall into the hype. I did that in 2020. Fall into the hype, watching YouTube videos because there was nothing else for me to do, and people will be talking about a fragrance. Oh, this fragrance is everything. I love it so much. You don't know the person. You probably just stumbled across their video. You know what I mean? You don't know their fragrance style. You don't know what kind of fragrances they usually wear, but you just heard them talking about a fragrance that you possibly were interested in, and they said they love it, and then you go buy it, and now you smelling like grass, wood, and berries. You don't want to do that. So you want to make sure that whoever you're watching or listening to, you kind of get a grasp of fragrances that they like. I mean, sometimes you can still be wrong, because for me, like, I'm all over the place with my fragrances. I like pretty, feminine, sweet, girly, fruity, but I also like unisex, deep, woody, sexy fragrances. So you just have to be careful, but don't fall into the hype of a fragrance, because you never know why that fragrance is being hyped. I'm going to listen to what you got to say, but I'm going to try to get a sample or go smell it, because, yeah, not falling into the hype again. You ain't going to get me again. You ain't going to trick me. All right, so another thing that I won't do when it comes to fragrances is kind of like falling into the hype, but going off others' experience. Now, let's say Tiffany Rose Gold. Let's say somebody named Mary. I don't know Mary. I don't know her from a can of paint. Mary probably said she hates Tiffany Rose Gold. It smells like cat piss on her. So now I'm interested in Tiffany Rose Gold, but now I'm not going to buy it, or I'm not going to no longer be interested in it because Mary said it smelled like cat piss. Mind you, I don't know Mary. Never met Mary. I don't know if Mary even takes a shower. I don't know if Mary has a bunch of cats in her house. I don't know Mary's situation, so I'm not going to go off of Mary's word. If she says it smells like cat piss on her, I'm still going to try to get my nose on said fragrance, because you just never know, okay? You don't know the person. You don't know why they don't like a certain fragrance or why their experience is how it is. So just take what people are saying with a grain of salt and make your own informed decisions. So yeah, I'm not going to go off of people's experiences anymore. Something else I won't do when it comes to fragrances is collect. And I know a lot of y'all probably like, sis, what? Now listen, please keep in mind that I'm on this platform and I'm reviewing fragrances and talking about fragrances. So I'm sent a lot of fragrances. So it would look like I am collecting fragrances, but I'm not collecting fragrances. I want fragrances. I acquire fragrances. I buy fragrances that I love. I'm not just gonna collect just to collect. Like, oh, Tiffany came out with 5 more fragrances. I want all of them in my collection because I just want all of the Tiffany's and I want to complete the collection. That I'm not doing, because there are certain fragrances that I'm not gonna love that's within that collection, but I will purchase and accept the ones that I do love, but not just to have it, just to have a collection. You know what I mean? I want every fragrance in my collection to be bomb for me. It may not be bomb for everybody else, but I love my collection. I might not wear all the fragrances all the time because I'm only one person, but best believe I love all of my fragrances. Whether somebody thinks they're basic or too extravagant, it doesn't matter. My collection makes me happy, but I will not collect fragrances just for the sake of collecting them. Does that make sense? Okay. All right. So something else that I would never do with my fragrances is only wear certain fragrances on special occasions. Now, let's say Tiffany Rose Gold, like I should have brought another fragrance because, I mean, you working hard today, aren't you? So let's say Tiffany Rose Gold was like a super special. This is a really pretty fragrance. It's feminine, it's pretty, but it's like an easy grab for me, like easy reach. It's not anything that I would wear like on a super special occasion. But let's just say for the sake of argument that this fragrance is like the end all be all, like she's so special and it's a very sexy, unique fragrance that I would only wear on special occasions, or most people would only wear on a special occasion. I'm no longer doing that because life is short. I want to wear my fragrance. So even though I may not wear my special fragrances all the time because I still want them to have that special meaning, so when I wear them I'm feeling special, but if by chance I feel like wearing a special fragrance, maybe my Roja fragrance, to the post office or to the grocery store because I feel like smelling that fragrance, I'm going to do it. I'm no longer going to deprive myself from wearing my special fragrances just because I'm not getting dressed up and going somewhere special, because life is short. Okay, so another thing that I would never do, I think I told y'all this already, is travel with full bottles. I'll never travel with a full bottle of fragrance because I have my decants. If I need to decant 20 mils, because this is 10 mil, if I need to decant 2, that's what I'll do. But I'm not traveling with a full bottle of fragrance because you just never know. And the last thing I would never do with my fragrances is judge the performance from a sample. Y'all, I used to do that. I used to be that person to get a little sample and spray it on my wrist, rub it, and then got the nerve to say, oh, this fragrance don't last on me. I sprayed it on and after an hour, I didn't smell it. Y'all, I would never ever do that again. I never judge performance of a fragrance from a sample. I'm judging the scent from the sample so I can know, okay, I like this fragrance or this is what the fragrance is giving, but not the performance. I can't judge from something that's coming out of a little tube. It's not projecting and squirting how I like it. And then there's some samples that don't even spray. Like there's some samples that are dabbers. Definitely not. Don't judge the performance of a fragrance from a sample. Is that it? Yes, that's it. So leave it in the comments below and let me know what are some things that you would never, ever, ever do when it comes to fragrances. Let's keep the conversation going. Remember to stay safe, be great, stay great, and always strive for greatness. AI the Great signing out, but I'll see you in my next video. Peace.